in the tranquil embrace of the countryside, where rolling hills met clear blue skies and the gentle whispers of nature replaced the cacophony of city life, a tale of transformation and discovery unfolded. This is a story that delves into the intricacies of a life reshaped by the pursuit of simplicity, the bonds of community, and the profound beauty of the natural world. Meet Sarah, a woman who had long yearned for a respite from the hustle and bustle of urban existence. The relentless noise of traffic, the endless sea of faces in the crowded streets, and the ceaseless demands of city living had begun to wear her spirit thin. Yet, Sarah possessed a dream that, like a seed, had taken root deep within her heart, a dream of a life redefined by serenity, purpose, and the embrace of nature's rhythm. In the opening chapter, we join Sarah as she embarks on a courageous journey, one that will alter the course of her life forever. With a sense of determination and an unwavering desire for change, she packs her bags and leaves behind the familiar confines of her urban apartment. The bustling cityscape gives way to winding country roads, where each turn reveals a new vista of lush green fields, meandering streams, and charming cottages nestled beneath the shade of ancient oaks. Sarah's destination is a cozy cottage with a thatched roof and a white picket fence, a picturesque abode that seems to have emerged from the pages of a storybook. Surrounding her new home is a garden that bursts forth with an array of vibrant colors, a testament to the natural beauty that had drawn her to this idyllic setting. As she steps out of her car and breathes in the crisp, clean air, Sarah feels an overwhelming sense of serenity wash over her, a feeling she had longed for, a feeling she had finally found. Chapter by chapter, we'll follow Sarah's journey as she settles into her newfound haven. She explores the charming village and its market, where farmers and artisans display their wares, creating a sense of community that warms her heart. She befriends Mary, the friendly baker who introduces her to the tantalizing world of freshly baked bread and pastries. Through Sarah's interactions with Mary and others, we'll delve into a world where simple acts of kindness and neighborly camaraderie are cherished, where the bonds of community are woven tightly, like the fabric of a warm quilt on a cold winter's night. As Sarah continues to immerse herself in the village's way of life, she discovers the profound beauty of simplicity. Life in the countryside teaches her to appreciate the small joys, tending to her garden, cooking with fresh local ingredients, and finding solace in the quiet moments spent by the fireplace with a good book. Sarah soon realizes that the material possessions and constant distractions of the city were pale substitutes for the profound contentment she now experienced. But as the seasons change, so too does Sarah's experience of life in the countryside. She witnesses the vibrant colors of autumn leaves, the enchantment of a snowy winter, and the rebirth of spring's blossoms. With each season, she grows closer to the rhythms of nature, understanding that life, like the seasons, is a cycle of growth and change. In the heart of winter, Sarah learns the art of chopping wood to keep her cottage warm, while the joy of holiday traditions with her newfound friends adds a touch of magic to the season. Spring brings a renewed sense of adventure as she explores new hiking trails, enjoys picnics by the river, and discovers a hidden talent for painting with the guidance of local artists. As the year comes full circle, Sarah's transformation becomes complete. Her journey of self-discovery and connection to the countryside is a testament to the power of embracing change, seeking simplicity, and building meaningful connections with others. Her life in the countryside is not just a physical relocation, it's a profound, spiritual homecoming, a journey of the soul to a place where she truly belongs. This is Sarah's story, a story that celebrates the beauty of the everyday, the warmth of human connection, and the serenity found in embracing the natural world. It's a tale that invites you to step into a world where the pace is slower, the smiles are genuine, and the bonds of community are as enduring as the hills that cradle this enchanting countryside.
Chapter 1: A New Beginning. The decision to leave her city life behind and embark on this new adventure had not been made lightly. For Sarah, it was the culmination of years spent yearning for a change of scenery, a change of pace, and a change of perspective. She had grown weary of the relentless demands of her job, the constant noise that permeated her apartment, and the impersonal rush of city living. The journey to the countryside had been a dream she'd nurtured for as long as she could remember. It was a dream that had become a beacon of hope during long commutes and stressful workdays, a vision of a life that felt more authentic and in tune with her true self. As she drove down those winding country roads, she couldn't help but feel a sense of liberation. The city had always felt like a cage, confining her spirit with its towering buildings and bustling streets. Now, as she left that urban jungle behind, she was greeted by a landscape that seemed to stretch on forever, inviting her to breathe deeply and savor the freedom of open spaces. The countryside, with its lush fields and rolling hills, had a way of captivating the soul. Sarah marveled at the colors of the wildflowers that danced in the gentle breeze. She passed through quaint villages where time seemed to have stood still, and each corner revealed a picturesque scene straight out of a postcard. Arriving at her new home, the cozy cottage nestled in the valley, was like stepping into a storybook. The thatched roof and the white picket fence lent it an almost fairy-tale quality. The garden, too, was a vibrant tapestry of colors, a symphony of daisies, roses, and tulips that greeted her with open arms. Stepping out of her car, Sarah took a deep breath, inhaling the crisp, clean air that was scented with the earthiness of the countryside. It was a far cry from the polluted city air she'd grown accustomed to. As she stood there, a smile crept across her face, and she felt the weight of city life lifting off her shoulders, replaced by a sense of tranquility she had longed for. The quietude of the countryside was striking. There were no sirens blaring in the distance, no horns honking incessantly, and no cacophony of voices. Instead, all around her, there was a symphony of nature, the birds serenading from the trees, the rustling of leaves, and the distant murmur of a river. It was a world apart from the urban chaos she had left behind. As Sarah entered her cottage, she felt a sense of anticipation and excitement. It was a blank canvas, waiting for her to fill it with the colors of her new life. The rooms were cozy, with wooden beams overhead and sunlight streaming in through small, charming windows. It was a space that felt like a warm embrace, a sanctuary she could finally call her own. This was the beginning of a new chapter in Sarah's life, a chapter where the pages were filled with the promise of simplicity, the beauty of nature, and the warmth of community. As she unpacked her belongings and settled into her new surroundings, she couldn't help but feel that she had made the right choice. The countryside had welcomed her with open arms, and it was here, in this idyllic setting, that her journey of transformation would truly begin.
Chapter 2: Settling In. Sarah's first few weeks in the countryside were a blend of excitement, exploration, and the gentle rhythm of life.
As she set about settling into her new home, she couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude for the change she had made. One sunny afternoon, her curiosity led her to the heart of the village, where the local market came alive with the sights and sounds of rural life. Farmers proudly displayed their bountiful harvests, while artisans showcased their handcrafted treasures. The market was a bustling hub of activity, a vibrant tapestry of colors, and a true reflection of the community's spirit. It was here that Sarah had her first encounter with Mary, the owner of a small bakery tucked away in a cozy corner of the market. The enticing aroma of freshly baked bread and pastries wafted through the air, drawing her closer like a moth to a flame. Sarah's senses were overwhelmed by the delightful scents, and her mouth watered as she gazed upon rows of golden croissants, crusty baguettes, and decadent pastries adorned with powdered sugar. Mary, a warm and welcoming woman with a twinkle in her eye, noticed Sarah's fascination with the baked goods and extended a friendly greeting. Sarah, not one to resist such an invitation, struck up a conversation with her. It wasn't long before they were engaged in a lively exchange about life in the village, the importance of community, and the pleasures of simple, everyday joys. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, like a meandering stream, and before Sarah knew it, she was sharing stories of her journey to the countryside and the dreams that had led her here. Mary, with a knowing smile, nodded in understanding. She, too, had once been a newcomer to the village, and she spoke of the sense of belonging that had grown within her over the years. In the days that followed, Sarah found herself drawn to Mary's bakery like a magnet. Each visit became an opportunity not only to savor the delicious treats, but also to deepen her connection with the warm-hearted baker. It was during these moments that Sarah began to feel the true essence of village life, the genuine friendships, the kindness of strangers, and the sense of belonging she had longed for. As Sarah delved deeper into the community, she discovered a hidden hiking trail that meandered through the woods, leading to a breathtaking viewpoint overlooking the valley. The trail was a revelation, a path to solitude and reflection, where the rustling leaves and the chorus of birds provided a symphony of nature's serenity. Her encounters with nature were complemented by encounters with her neighbors. One day, a knock on her door revealed Mr. Johnson, a neighbor with a kind smile and a heart of gold. He had noticed that her fence needed some repairs and had come to offer his help. Sarah was overwhelmed by his generosity and accepted his offer with gratitude. Together, they spent the day repairing the fence, a labor of love that turned into an opportunity for Sarah to learn more about the village's history, its customs, and the wisdom that came from a lifetime of country living. As the sun set on that day, Sarah realized that the bonds of community were not just words but actions, the willingness to lend a hand, to share a story, and to build connections that span generations. In this second chapter of her journey, Sarah had not only settled into her new home but had also begun to put down roots in the hearts of the people who surrounded her. The bakery had become a place of friendship, the hiking trail a path to self-discovery, and her neighbors a source of wisdom and support. The countryside was not just a backdrop, it was becoming the canvas upon which Sarah would paint the tapestry of her new life.
Chapter 3: Community Bonds. As the days turned into weeks and Sarah continued to immerse herself in the rhythms of rural life, she began to realize the profound importance of strong bonds within the community. The village wasn't just a place to live, it was a place where people leaned on one another, where acts of kindness and camaraderie were woven into the fabric of everyday life. The village, she discovered, had a unique way of nurturing these bonds. It was a place where people knew their neighbors not just by name but by the stories of their lives, a place where shared experiences and mutual support were treasured like precious gems. Sarah's connection with Mary, the bakery owner, deepened with each passing day. Their conversations expanded beyond the confines of the bakery, as they shared stories of their pasts, dreams for the future, and the simple pleasures of life. Mary, with her generous spirit, became not just a baker but a friend who welcomed Sarah into the heart of the village. One evening, as the sun cast a warm, golden glow over the village, Sarah received an invitation from Mary to join a gathering at the town square. It was a community event, an old-fashioned picnic where villagers brought dishes to share and families gathered to enjoy the outdoors. As Sarah arrived at the square, she was greeted by a scene that felt like something out of a storybook. Tables were adorned with checkered tablecloths, and the air was filled with the tantalizing aroma of homemade dishes. Children played tag on the grass, and laughter rang out like the sweetest melody. The village, she realized, knew how to come together and celebrate the simple joys of life. As she settled in, Sarah found herself engaged in conversations with people from all walks of life. There was Mr. Johnson, her helpful neighbor, who regaled her with tales of the village's history and its enduring traditions. There was Emily, a young artist who had recently moved to the countryside, and Henry, the village's storyteller, who had a tale for every occasion. The warmth and camaraderie of the picnic touched Sarah's heart. She felt a sense of belonging that she had never experienced in the city, a feeling of being part of a close-knit family. The stories, laughter, and shared meals created a bond that transcended mere acquaintance. It was a bond born of genuine care and a shared appreciation for the beauty of the countryside. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah found herself not only attending community events but also participating in them. She helped organize a neighborhood cleanup day, joined a gardening club, and even learned the art of preserving fruits and vegetables from the village elders. These activities weren't just chores, they were opportunities to strengthen the ties that bound her to her newfound community. In this chapter of her life, Sarah learned that the bonds of community were like the sturdy branches of an old oak tree, resilient, enduring, and capable of weathering the storms of life. The people of the village were not just neighbors, they were friends who watched out for one another, shared in each other's joys and sorrows, and built a web of support that made every day feel like a gift. As Sarah continued to embrace her life in the countryside, she understood that her decision to seek simplicity had brought her not just to a place but to a people, a community that had opened its arms and heart to her. And in return, she found herself growing not just as an individual but as an integral part of the tapestry of village life.
Chapter 4: Embracing Simplicity. In the embrace of the countryside, Sarah found herself drawn into the enchanting world of simplicity. Life here was a stark contrast to the hurried, cluttered existence she had known in the city. It was a life that celebrated the small things, where the mundane transformed into moments of deep satisfaction and contentment. One of the first things Sarah noticed was her garden. The cottage's garden, a riot of colors and fragrances, became her canvas. With her hands in the soil, she felt a connection to the earth that was both grounding and revitalizing. She watched in awe as her diligent care turned the garden into a living masterpiece, a kaleidoscope of blooms that changed with the seasons. Tending to the garden became a daily ritual, a reminder of the cyclical nature of life. She marveled at the first crocuses that pushed through the snow in early spring and the riotous explosion of wildflowers in summer. The gentle rustle of leaves in the autumn breeze and the serenity of a winter garden under a blanket of snow brought her a sense of peace that no amount of city noise could ever replicate. Her newfound appreciation for simplicity extended to her daily routine as well. In the city, mornings had been a rush of alarms, emails, and caffeine. Now, she awoke to the melodious chirping of birds and the gentle kiss of sunlight through her window. Breakfast consisted of fresh eggs from a neighbor's henhouse and homemade bread from Mary's bakery. It was a simple meal, yet it filled her with a sense of gratitude for the abundance of the countryside. Cooking became a cherished pastime for Sarah. With the bounty of fresh produce from the local farmer's market, she experimented with recipes that celebrated the flavors of each season. The act of preparing meals with care and intention brought her a sense of fulfillment that transcended the mere satisfaction of a well-cooked dish. Evenings were a time of quiet reflection. She would sit by the fireplace with a good book, the crackling of the wood and the warm glow creating a cocoon of comfort. The books she read ranged from classic literature to nature guides, and each one added to her understanding of the world around her. It was a simple pleasure, yet it enriched her life in ways she had never imagined. Perhaps the most profound change was her perspective on material possessions. In the city, she had been surrounded by a constant influx of stuff, clothes, gadgets, and trinkets that seemed to accumulate without end. In the countryside, she realized that true wealth lay not in the accumulation of things, but in the richness of experience, in the depth of relationships, and in the appreciation of the natural world. Sarah's wardrobe became a lesson in practicality. She had no need for a closet bursting with clothes, as a few well-chosen garments suited her needs perfectly. The minimalist approach to clothing not only simplified her daily choices, but also allowed her to truly appreciate the quality and craftsmanship of each piece. As the seasons cycled through the year, Sarah found herself attuned to the natural world in ways she had never been before. She took long walks in the woods, listening to the symphony of rustling leaves and birdsong. She gazed at the night sky, where stars shone with a brilliance that could only be seen far from the city's light pollution. In this chapter of her life, Sarah's journey of simplicity was not a renunciation of the modern world but a rediscovery of what truly mattered. It was an embrace of the small moments, the quiet joys, and the uncluttered beauty of a life lived in harmony with nature and community. As the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Sarah found herself transformed, her soul enriched by the profound wisdom that came from embracing simplicity in its purest form.
Chapter 5: Seasons of Change. In the heart of the countryside, where nature dictated the rhythm of life, Sarah found herself immersed in the ever-changing tapestry of the seasons. Each passing season brought its own unique charm and challenges, and through them, Sarah discovered the beauty of adaptation and the depth of her connection to the natural world. Autumn, a palette of colors. As the days grew shorter and the air turned crisp, Sarah witnessed the countryside transform into a painter's dream. Autumn arrived with a flourish of red, orange, and gold as the leaves of deciduous trees donned their vibrant hues. The landscape seemed to catch fire, ablaze with the colors of falling leaves. Sarah spent her days exploring the woods, her footsteps accompanied by the satisfying crunch of leaves beneath her boots. She marveled at the beauty of nature's farewell party, where each tree seemed to be bidding adieu in a riot of color. The air carried the earthy scent of fallen leaves, and the melancholic call of migrating birds filled the sky. In the village, the arrival of autumn marked a season of preparation. Sarah joined her neighbors in harvesting vegetables and preserving fruits for the winter months. She learned the art of canning and pickling, ensuring that the flavors of summer would linger on the dining table even in the coldest of days. Winter, a blanket of tranquility. As autumn gracefully surrendered to winter, the countryside was transformed once more, this time under a pristine blanket of snow. Sarah woke up to a world bathed in white, where the crisp air seemed to sparkle with frost. It was a time of quietude and serenity. The fireplace in her cottage became her closest companion during the winter months. She chopped wood, stoked the flames, and relished the warmth it provided. Evenings were spent wrapped in blankets, sipping hot cocoa and watching the dance of snowflakes outside her window. It was a time of reflection and introspection, a season for nurturing the soul. The village was not without its festivities. Sarah joined her neighbors in celebrating the holiday season, singing carols by candlelight and sharing homemade treats. The simplicity of these gatherings, the warmth of shared laughter, and the twinkle of holiday lights all spoke to the heart of winter's magic. Spring, a time of rebirth. As winter gradually released its grip, Sarah felt the first signs of spring in the air. The earth thawed, and the snow melted to reveal the promise of new beginnings. Crocuses and daffodils pushed through the soil, and buds began to swell on the trees. With the arrival of spring, Sarah's sense of adventure was renewed. She explored new hiking trails, where wildflowers carpeted the ground in a riot of colors. Picnics by the river became a favorite pastime, where the gentle babble of water and the songs of birds filled the air. One day, Sarah stumbled upon a group of local artists who were sketching the picturesque landscape. Intrigued, she approached them and soon found herself invited to join their weekly art class. Sarah had always yearned to nurture her creative side, and this was the perfect opportunity. Under the guidance of her newfound friends, she discovered a talent for painting. Her canvas became a reflection of the changing seasons, capturing the vibrancy of spring's blossoms, the serenity of summer's meadows, and the rich colors of autumn foliage. It was a form of expression that allowed her to convey the beauty she saw in the world around her. In the seasons of change, Sarah found a deeper connection to the natural world and a profound appreciation for the cyclical nature of life. She understood that, like the seasons, life was a continuous cycle of growth, transition, and renewal. Each season brought its own lessons, and each held the promise of new adventures and discoveries.
Chapter 6: New Adventures. With the arrival of Chapter 6 in her life, Sarah found herself embracing a fresh sense of adventure that added a new layer of vibrancy to her countryside existence. The previous chapters had laid the foundation for her transformation, but now she was ready to explore uncharted territory, to stretch her boundaries, and to truly thrive in her newfound home. Exploration of the unknown. Sarah's wanderlust led her to explore new paths and hidden corners of the countryside. She ventured into the woods, discovering trails she had never walked before, each one leading to breathtaking vistas and secluded spots. These solo excursions allowed her to connect with the natural world on a deeper level, and she reveled in the sense of freedom and wonder that filled her heart. One day, Sarah stumbled upon an abandoned cottage deep in the woods. Its time-worn facade and overgrown garden intrigued her, sparking her curiosity and imagination. She decided to embark on a project to restore it to its former glory. With guidance from her experienced neighbors, she learned the art of carpentry, painting, and gardening. This endeavor became a testament to her resilience and newfound skills, and it provided her with a sense of accomplishment like no other. Creativity unleashed. Sarah's artistic journey continued to flourish as she honed her painting skills. The local artists who had welcomed her into their group became not just mentors but also close friends. Together, they embarked on plein-air painting adventures, capturing the beauty of the countryside in their canvases. The rolling hills, the tranquil rivers, and the ever-changing skies became their muse. Sarah's paintings began to gain recognition in the village, and she found herself participating in art exhibitions and even teaching art classes to local children. The act of creation brought her immense joy and fulfillment, and it allowed her to express her love for the countryside in vivid colors and strokes. Community and connection. In this chapter of her life, Sarah's circle of friends expanded further. She became acquainted with people from diverse backgrounds and walks of life, all drawn to the countryside by the same desire for simplicity and connection. They gathered for bonfires, storytelling nights, and stargazing sessions, deepening their bonds under the expansive night sky. Sarah's connection to her neighbors grew even stronger. She was now an integral part of the village, participating in community events, volunteering at local initiatives, and helping with neighborhood projects. The trust and camaraderie that had been nurtured over time were now an indelible part of her life. As the seasons continued to cycle through the year, Sarah's adventures added layers to her story. She learned that life in the countryside was not just about finding peace and simplicity, it was also about seizing opportunities for growth, fostering creativity, and building connections that enriched the tapestry of her existence. In the chapters to come, Sarah's journey would continue to evolve, as she deepened her roots in the countryside, embraced new challenges, and uncovered the profound beauty of a life well lived. Each day was an adventure waiting to be written, a canvas waiting to be painted, and a story waiting to be told.
Chapter 7: A Homecoming. As Sarah's journey through the countryside continued, she couldn't help but reflect on the profound transformation that had taken place within her. What had started as a quest for simplicity had evolved into a deep and meaningful connection with her surroundings, her community, and herself. In Chapter 7, she found herself at a crossroads, a point where the lessons of the past chapters would converge and shape her future. A life of fulfillment. By this point in her journey, Sarah had come to realize that fulfillment was not a distant destination but an ongoing process. It was the contentment she felt as she tended to her garden, the joy of creating art that captured the essence of the countryside, and the satisfaction of knowing she had contributed to her community. Her cottage, once a stranger's residence, had truly become her home. Every corner, every nook, and every beam overhead held memories of her transformation, a testament to the love and care she had poured into it. The garden, once a riot of colors, had matured into a peaceful oasis where she found solace and inspiration. Deepening connections. Sarah's relationships with her neighbors had blossomed into meaningful connections. Her friends in the village had become a close-knit family, sharing in each other's joys and offering support during challenging times. The bonds they had forged were unbreakable, woven together by shared experiences, laughter, and heartfelt conversations. Sarah's artistic journey had also taken a new direction. Her paintings had evolved into a reflection of her own growth, capturing not just the beauty of the countryside but the depth of her connection to it. Her work was now sought after not only by locals but by visitors who sought to take a piece of the countryside's magic home with them. Embracing change. As the seasons cycled through once more, Sarah embraced change with open arms. She understood that, like the natural world, life was in a constant state of flux. Just as the trees shed their leaves in autumn and the flowers bloomed anew in spring, she too had experienced cycles of growth and transformation. One autumn evening, gathered around a bonfire with her friends, Sarah shared her journey, the highs and lows, the moments of clarity and uncertainty. She spoke of how the countryside had become her refuge, how the community had become her anchor, and how the simplicity of this life had brought her profound happiness. In the warm glow of the firelight, she realized that her journey was not about finding a fixed destination but about embracing the ever-changing path of life. She had come to understand that true fulfillment lay not in the pursuit of perfection but in the acceptance of impermanence, in the beauty of the journey itself. A bright horizon. In this final chapter of her story, Sarah's heart was filled with gratitude for the serenity she had found, the bonds she had forged, and the lessons she had learned. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she faced the future with a sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the simple, everyday moments that made life in the countryside so precious. With each passing day, Sarah's cottage felt more like a sanctuary, her community more like family, and the countryside more like her true home. Her story was a testament to the power of embracing change, seeking simplicity, and building meaningful connections with others. It was a reminder that life's greatest treasures were often found in the quiet moments, the shared laughter, and the beauty of the world around us. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden hue over the village, Sarah knew that her journey was a never-ending adventure, a continuous exploration of the heart and soul. And in the chapters yet to be written, she looked forward to new discoveries, deeper connections, and the boundless beauty of the world she now called home.